face on the track, on my face to the back like I'm taking a slap. I need a drink, please.
All right, 30 for 30, here we go. Leg day. Now, if we don't post a video at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that means it's a rest day. So fully recover, stretch, do a little bit of cardio. If you do a workout on your own, that's on you. It's not efficient, especially trying to train every single day. Trust the process. Now, before we get started, I wanna introduce you to a couple of different tips that are gonna help you through the workout and for future training. So without further ado, let's check it out. All right, quick tip number one. A general macronutrient profile for building muscle is about 30% protein, 50% carbs, and 20% fat. You can increase your protein if needed. Number two, complete 6-inch holds for 30 seconds and 15 Supermans before you get started with this workout. Number three, don't allow your hips to open up too much on single leg movements. You want everything to be centered and straight. Number four, pulsating movements are only supposed to be slower when said so. If not, move the activating muscle as fast as possible through the contraction. Number five, take your Great U probiotics, man. It's good for your gut health. Number six, drink around a gallon of water today and walk 10,000 steps. It's good for your metabolism. Trust the process. And lastly, number seven, TUT stands for time under tension. This should be a slow and controlled movement between 5 to 8 seconds each way. Superset number one, we have Bulgarian split squats, okay? These are gonna be single leg. Now remember, in those quick tips, I said don't open up your hips. So instead of externally rotating here, I want you to close in everything and almost sit back a little bit on that opposite leg. So internally rotate and sit back a little bit more on that leg, okay? The feet, you don't want it to be too extended out where you're putting a lot of stress on that hip flexor. Here, no stress on the hip flexor. Not as much anyway, okay? Squeeze all of your little toes into the ground. Keep a big chest, squeezing your abs as tight as possible. You're gonna come down here, allowing your foot to almost be towards the toes, okay? And drop down and coming straight back up, okay? You don't have to worry about a full extension or anything like that. Don't put your knee at risk or any part of your body at risk, okay? Then we're gonna be moving into Bulgarian split pulsators. So you're gonna come down about 3/4 of the way down, almost all the way down, okay? And you're gonna be coming up and down as fast as you can, okay? This is not a slow and controlled movement. As we said in the quick tips, this is fast. And that's your first superset. This superset, we're gonna be starting off with lateral lunges, but be explosive, very, very important. So we're gonna pause at the bottom, all right? Big chest, we're gonna tighten in our abs. All right, here we go. Tuck in our chin. Notice how I went from here to here, okay? Now, when I come down, I'm gonna keep everything in front of my body as so. Now, you don't wanna come too low, and also you don't wanna put this foot too far out, right? So it's gonna be almost right below that right shoulder. So even right now, it's a little bit too far out for me. So I'm gonna bring it here, come down here, all right? Squeeze everything, squeeze that glute. Make sure it's not like this. You're squeezing in as so, tightening everything, and then explosive all the way up, all right? You're gonna come back down and explode all the way up into that next movement. Then we're gonna be going into pistol squat hold pulsators. These are extremely, extremely tough if you do it correctly, all right? So we're gonna grab some type of a counter or something as so, all right? Notice how I almost swoop my leg around as so, because all that's gonna do is put my hip in the correct position on the left-hand side. So I'm gonna swoop around, I'm going to sit back, squeeze everything in so I'm fully aligned. I'm going to round my upper back slightly, all right? I'm gonna bring my left foot off of the ground, keeping everything settled here. You should feel it in your glute like crazy, and you're gonna be going up and down as fast as possible, okay? Now the most important thing here is to make sure that you are sitting back enough and pushing back enough. If you don't feel it in your glute, you're not doing it right, and that is your superset. This next superset, we're gonna start off with a floor movement for your hamstrings, all right? I want you to wear some socks. Look at those nice toes. Sexy Under Armour. This is not a sponsored ad. And what you're gonna do is squeeze in your abs as much as possible, okay? So that your low back is on the ground. You wanna keep this movement or this positioning the entire movement. Squeeze in your glutes, all right? Your toes are gonna be coming up towards whatever, your head or whatever you want. Put your hands by your side, tuck in your chin, squeeze everything in. You're gonna lift your glutes right here in this position, come all the way up until you really, really feel like your hamstrings are tight, and then coming right back down as so. Proper control with this movement, and don't go too high up where you're here, because then you're completely relieving all the stress on your hamstrings. You're gonna be supersetting this with hip thrusters on hamstrings, like on a chair or so, okay? So you're gonna be finding something about, I don't know, 90 degrees of that knee joint here, all right? And you're gonna scoot back slightly. You're gonna bring one leg up as so. Make sure that it's not fully flexed. You want it to be just slightly flexed, but almost towards extension right in the middle. Squeeze it towards the other leg here. Okay, squeeze as much as you can. Now you're gonna come up, but you're not gonna come up all the way through like a full hip thrust, okay? That's gonna be halfway. And what you're gonna do is come up and down fast, okay? Now, I don't want you to go super, super fast like a regular pulsator. This is one of the slow and controlled movements. So a little bit slower, you'll have it. This is just gonna be a set, only one movement. Time under tension, feet together, and really legs together, suicide squats. So you wanna find some type of a counter, something you can just use a little bit of assistance for, all right? So if you were to go up to the actual counter, you'd be here in a straight line. Keeping everything tucked, chin back, you can tell that's a neutral spine, right? So I want you to take just one slight step back, okay? Almost as if you're about 18 to 20 inches behind the actual counter. Now what you're gonna do, rather than your feet being this wide apart, I want you to be close together and watch my leg. They're gonna be squeezing together as much as possible, really, really hard, so you feel those adductors working through the movement, all right? So what you're gonna do is come down, squeezing those adductors, almost like you're coming towards the countertop. Boom, right when you touch the countertop, I want you to come right back up. Now, if you don't have a countertop with a wall, just back up a little bit and make sure that you're going under it correctly. But you're squeezing everything down. It's gonna be 5 to 8 seconds all the way down, and then all the way back up, squeezing everything as tight as possible. This one really burns. This set, only one exercise again, as many reps as possible, glute switches. So I want to show you my feet before we even do anything. Remember, you're always going to keep a neutral spine, tucking your chin, squeezing your abs, squeezing your glutes, all right? Now, we're going to be just about shoulder width apart, and we're going to be coming up as so. Now, here's the unique thing about this exercise. We're going to be putting our hands down, and these switches are going to be transferring the weight from one glute to the other, taking it away from one, coming all the way up, and then coming back down, and switching it to the other, boom, okay? And you're gonna keep on going back and forth with this movement as so, all right? So, keeping your spine, squeezing in everything, completely straight, neutral spine, coming all the way up, squeezing. You don't wanna go too much where you're extending that lower spine. It's just about here, squeezing those glutes, coming up with one leg, coming up with the other, okay? Now you can come a little bit closer if you would like, if it's a little easier for you, or a little wider if it's easier for you. But yeah, that's your movement, as many reps as possible. So I don't need to talk too much about the Bulgarian split squat, but we are gonna be doing a hold for this last set. This is as long as possible on each leg, okay? So all you're gonna do, fully bring out one of these feet. Remember, you don't wanna fully externally rotate at the hip, tightening everything in, okay? Not too far out where your full extension of that hip flexor. We're squeezing everything in, squeezing, rotating back with that other hip, back, all right? You're gonna come down, and I want you to hold it at this position right here. It's gonna be tough. I want you to go for, let's say, a little challenge, 30 seconds to a minute for yourself, and that is your workout. And there you have it, that is your leg day. Remember, bodyweight workouts almost every single morning, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. If it's not posted, that is your rest and recovery day. I'm very serious about that stuff, and also the quick tips, the water, the 10,000 steps, the correct movements, going slow, all this stuff is important for your individual growth. Now, if you haven't subscribed yet, I highly suggest you do. We have so many different videos on this channel. If you haven't picked up your Create You greens and the rest of the Create You products, I highly suggest you do. Turn your post notifications on, comment down below, let me know how you feel, give us a thumbs up. The algorithm will really, really appreciate it, and I will as well. I'm Brendan, and thanks for tuning in. See you tomorrow.